Hi everyone! In this video I'm going to cover the basic bathroom types and some important planning guidelines when considering codes for bathroom spaces. So we'll be looking at types of bathrooms, tips for planning, and bathroom planning for all, meaning ADA guidelines. So first, types of bathrooms. So the smallest types of bathroom would be the powder bath, also known as the half bath, so the powder room. And really, due to the high amount of traffic a powder room gets per square foot, it could be the most valuable space in your house. So the powder room is a small bathroom, it has a toilet and a sink, and that's really the one that everybody uses, right? It's the public restroom in your house. It's the one that everybody's using all the time. It's the place that visitors will use if they're in your home. So this is really your opportunity to show off your creativity and style, and usually powder rooms are quite elaborate if possible. We have different configurations possible. Of course, we can have the sink and toilet directly across from each other, next to each other, kind of in two different alcoves. It really just depends on the space that you have for your powder room. And here just given some basic minimum dimensions of a scenario where the toilet and sink are next to each other, having a 48-inch minimum depth, 54-inch minimum width, right? Having a minimum of 30 inches between the wall and the edge of the sink, and then 24 inches then from that edge of the sink to the other. So just a few images of some, possible powder room looks, configurations, and thinking about your opportunity for selecting tile, lighting, sink choice, all of it is so important. It's a very small space. It's also very impactful. And we can have scenarios where we have vessel sinks that actually sit on top of countertops or have a floating appearance. They can be glass or metal, translucent and letting light through. There's a lot of opportunities here. And again, this is, a guest bathroom. The sink primarily will just be used for washing hands. So, it's not as if someone will be brushing their teeth or, doing other types of things that might happen in other bathrooms. So vessel sinks and things like that can be a more viable option. And then also thinking about, if using a vessel sink, think about the faucets that might actually be installed and coming out of the wall, whether extremely contemporary as these two options or having more of that old-fashioned type of a look. But there's a lot of possibilities. Thinking about maybe kind of large stone types of looks, poured cement, again, that kind of decorative vessel look with light round hanging mirrors, extremely contemporary looks where we have actual floating vanities, so actually floating above the floor with tile, floating wall-hung toilets with flushing mechanism in the wall. Floating kind of countertop appearance where the plumbing is run behind the wall, so the entire underside is open and you actually don't see the plumbing, with yet another very contemporary fixture here as well. We can also get very opulent, right? These can be very kind of glamorous and beautiful and overdone in that sense with, chandeliers and very large kind of almost gaudy mirrors, a vessel sink on a pedestal, all of these different types of looks. So many opportunities. Thinking about very bold, graphic wall coverings, multiple mirrors, the use of stone and those types of things, chrome and metals, and the reflective quality of the mirror. Again, in a very small space, so it's very bold and very impactful. And we can also think about, other ways of condensing the space if needed. And there are actual units out there, whether very contemporary, more traditional looking, or built in, that actually have a combination of the toilet and a sink. So the water used for washing hands then is used with the toilet. So it's an environmentally friendly option. And then after the powder room or the half bath, we have the 3/4 bath. The 3/4 bath is a toilet, sink, and a shower. So toilet, sink, or sinks, there can be multiple. and a shower, so no bathtub. So these can vary quite a bit in size and configuration. Possibly putting the toilet in its own alcove or kind of separating the sinks is an option at times, otherwise being very open. So just a few, options that we can see for three-quarter baths. So this, is very contemporary, open space, but not particularly large, right? See another option here with that teak floor that allows the water to drain down with these rainfall shower heads. A glass enclosure that keeps the space feeling very open, but while maintaining that, closed area for water. Thinking about those more kind of patterned tiles and how those carry through. And in these cases, having a lip so the water is contained within that space. So a lip here again with a built-in shower seat, removable kind of handheld showers, even windows in the shower, things like that are possible, certainly depending on what's on the other side. If you have a building there, or if you have maybe a forest, depends what you're into. And then we have the full bath. So a full bath is a toilet, sink or sinks, it can be multiples again, a tub with a shower, or a shower and tub that are separate, okay? So it has all of those pieces, a toilet, sink, tub, and shower. And the tub and shower can be combined, or again, they can be separate, depending on kind of the desires of the client. Okay, so just a few examples of seeing some different full bath scenarios. So again, these are sort of having that tub and shower combined, right? Which is very, very typical and probably the most typical way that you'll see it, right? Seeing more of that kind of freestanding, contemporary and new, but old school looking tub with shower with the ring built around for the shower curtain. Again, here again in front of a large window. Must be plenty of trees outside. Okay. And then we have the master bath. So the master bath is a full bath with a toilet, sink, shower, and tub. And really basically anything goes with a master bath. The thing that makes it a master bath is that it's attached, connected to the master bedroom. So just seeing some examples here of, multiple showers, or including a sauna with a separate tub, separate sink, separate toilet room. So you'll see that these spaces can become quite large and elaborate if space and budget allows. Many different configurations here just to sort of give you an idea of how vastly different full baths and master baths can be. A couple over here that are kind of interesting, and this can happen, but possibly, a tub and shower. So the tub is represented here with that kind of classic, tub shape. And then we're seeing the shower here with the X through that. This is a shower. With each individual, having their own sink, vanity area, and then two separate toilet rooms. In this case, two separate tubs that are side by side. Might seem kind of strange, but it kind of depends, I guess, on your lifestyle and, what matters to you. So just, some different, different eye candy, some different inspiration for bathroom looks and, storage options, finishes, tile, all of that. And how either contemporary and open they can be, all the way to kind of how rustic and, in a sense, primitive they can be, but still very modern and contemporary. So you can combine things, kind of that rustic wood with sleek contemporary metal, sleek light fixtures. So really just a lot of possibilities. Sort of freestanding sink units, kind of built into a kind of old-fashioned dresser sort of a look. Floating vanities that are mounted to the wall directly. Few images with floating, just freestanding tubs that do not have an associated shower, so the shower is separate. So this is always that sort of beautiful, sort of ideal scenario if you have the space for it. Tubs can also be made out of metal, whether it's copper, coated in enamel, We have this reflective, beautiful sort of pewter look on the outside. So again, many different looks are possible. Here we have an example of that floating tub, and then a very, very large shower, a shower for two with two separate areas, but kind of connected into one, one main area. And then looking over here, we actually see we're getting more. It's a little hard to tell because the tub is cutting off the view, but a barrier-free shower in which you can just walk right into it, right out, and there's no lip or edge there. So some tips for bathroom planning. Well, first thing, and what we always try to do, is place plumbing along the same wall if possible. So locating the sinks and toilets and showers and all of that along the same wall is ideal because we can put all the plumbing in the same location. Likewise, if you have multiple bathrooms, locating them on the same wall back to back is also ideal because we can locate the plumbing in the same space. Remember that a vessel sink, so those sinks that sit on top of the countertop, kind of look like a bowl in some shape or form, they add height. So you'll actually need to make sure your base cabinet is a little bit lower depending on the size of that vessel. Typical cabinets in a bathroom are in the 33 to 36 inch range when we're thinking about the vanity, and 21 inches deep. So they're a little bit shallower than kitchen cabinets. It's always nice if you can place the toilet so it's not the first thing you see when you open the bathroom door, if that's at all possible. Keep in mind that freestanding tubs are really cool and we all love how they look, but they take up a tremendous amount of space, so that's not always possible to do. Consider recessing medicine cabinets into the wall for extra storage, but so they don't also kind of bulk up and hang into the room. If you live in a cold climate or a climate that gets cold in the winter, like those of us in Wisconsin do, you do not want to put plumbing on an outside wall. Do not do that because the likelihood is you will freeze the pipes and have an absolute disaster. So keep the plumbing off of outside walls in colder climates. You might consider doing floor, like heated mats or heated floors because the tile can be very cold, again, especially in those colder months. And always, always include a bath fan and consider putting it actually above, in the shower if possible to get the steam and moisture out of the bathroom to prevent, mold and mildew and those types of things. So just looking at some layouts for, bathroom planning. So along the bottom, we have the minimum, and, at the top, for the most part, we're getting into those better sizes. So just thinking about standard residential bathroom planning, the absolute minimum for the toilet location is 15 inches on center from the wall or an obstruction on the other side. So that's really having a 30-inch wide area. So plumbing is always measured, and in plumbing fixtures are measured from the center because that's where the plumbing connections, the pipes go. So plumbing's always on center, so that is this center line, CL. So that's the minimum, but it's really ideal and much, much better to have a toilet located 18 inches on center, so 18 inches on center from the wall. If we have a toilet in its own little room or alcove, 30-inch width is the absolute minimum, but 36 is certainly much better. And then minimum depth of 60 inches, but 66 is again certainly much better. Looking at sinks, 15-inch minimum on center from the wall for the sink location, and if it's a freestanding unit, having the edge a minimum of 4 inches from the wall. If there's multiple sinks, a minimum of 4 inches between, and then having 36 inches on center in the vanity situation is again much better and ideal. So thinking about some ADA requirements for bathrooms, we want to first think about comfort height toilets. Those are certainly, much better and generally comfortable for most average sized adults. We like to think about gooseneck spouts and lever handles as they're easier to maneuver. Thinking about the possibility of diminished depth perception, possibly deteriorating eyesight, things like that. Using high contrast colors in all areas of the bathroom can be extremely helpful. We want to think about using non-slip tile surfaces, things like that, and for traction, and just it'll be easy to take care of. And then if we have any exposed pipes, particularly we're thinking like if we have a wall hung sink with pipes below, they must be wrapped so that an individual is not burned. So, looking at this image, we're seeing all kinds of extremely important pieces of information that will be reiterated in some other images. But this is an excellent reference for all of the required measurements and things that we're going to need inside of an ADA compliant restroom in a house. So kind of looking at some, plan view drawings and kind of breaking it down, much like in a kitchen, in an ADA compliant bathroom, you want a 60-inch turning radius. So 60-inch clear floor space for an individual to turn around in. If using the T-turn option, you'll see here on the right, we need to have that 60-inch width again. And then we can kind of notch that in, if required, down to a 36-inch wide open area, notching in 12 inches on either side to do the T-turn if absolutely necessary, although certainly the 60-inch turning radius is much better. A few more drawings, illustrating the same basic idea. So looking at, coming in this bathroom, we have our 60-inch turning radius. And then very importantly, we also in front of the sink have the 30 by 48 minimum clear floor space for the wheelchair to fit. We have the toilet 18 inches on center from the wall, so that should sound familiar from our standard bathroom measurements. And then from that center point of the toilet to the edge of the sink is an absolute minimum of 42 inches. So from the wall to the edge of the sink here is a 60-inch minimum. Okay. And then just, looking at a variety of different shower, scenarios. So really for reference, looking at clear floor space outside of the shower that's needed for someone to get into, for example, this stall shower scenario to transfer and get onto the folding seat, right? So we really need a 36-inch wide area here with at least 12 inches back and at least a 36-inch shower opening. And so here again, for a roll-in shower, it's basically the same shape outside. So a 30-inch by 60-inch minimum of clear floor space to transfer into this shower area. Seeing that roll-in 60 by 60 space inside of the shower and what that might look like inside. Seeing that the controls for the shower are offset so that they're easily reachable. You don't have to be in the shower to reach it. And that those are at a 38 to 48-inch height. Okay. Again, some more measurements for typical scenarios. Another kind of roll-in situation here, 42 by 60 inches, and seeing what that might look like as well. Seeing that we have, again, our 48-inch max for the controls that are offset from the center, and our grab bars can be no more than 4 inches away from that wall, okay, and no more than 3 to 6 inches between the grab bar and the controls. When we're thinking about bathtub scenarios, you can either have a removable in-tub seat or one that's built in on the back. Either is okay. The permanent seat must be 15 inches deep, and then the removable one 15 to 16 inches deep. So you can kind of see what that scenario might look like with a permanent seat, okay, either in an elevation view or in a plan view. And then this is a great reference for the depths and locations all the grab bars need to be. So the grab bars need to be between 8 and 10 inches from the tub, and then another at 33 to 36, with a max of 15 inches from the back and 12 from the front, as you can see here. And then a vertical grab bar at a minimum of 18 inches high. And then the same scenario, but for a movable seat situation, right? So we can see that it's compressed in a little bit. We still have our same heights, but now we can have a 24-inch max to that first grab bar from the rear of the tub is one of the notable differences there. And when we're thinking about grab bars in a bathroom, other than simply locating them at the right heights and distances that we can see on all these drawings, it's important to remember how buildings are built, how bathrooms are built. And so we've talked about before the wood frame construction that's typical in residential buildings, with all of those studs being 16 inches on center. And if we just sort of think about that, and then you think about, oh, okay, I'm going to put my tile up and put my grab bars in, those grab bars probably aren't going to land on those studs, right? And so if you just put grab bars, drill them through maybe a tile wall, if somebody goes to grab one of those, they're going to rip them right out of the wall. So what you need to do is put reinforcement behind the tile, okay? So you can either do that by doing solid plywood reinforcement, and basically kind of cover the area in a sheet of plywood. And then you always have a spot to grab into. And then on top of that, you put your cement board. And the cement board is what the tile is then adhered to. The cement board is what you need to do in wet locations for tile. So solid plywood is a great option. You can also do solid wood blocking, as you see over here, which are smaller, like 2x4 pieces fit in between the studs. And that will work as well. And then on top of that, of course, goes a cement board, and then the tile, and then you can adhere your grab bars, and they'll have something to really grab into to be nice and sturdy. The solid the solid wood backing is, you need to be much more precise and know exactly where you're going. So either can work, just depends on which technique you want to use. A few more instances of various shower situations involving seats, different proportions, and then given those scenarios, where those grab bars need to be. And you can see that for pretty much every scenario, the distance from each corner is a max of 6 inches. And that's really probably the most important thing you can remember, is those grab bars really need to be accessible and can only be no more than 6 inches in from those corners. And then thinking about grab bars for toilets, we have very similar types of measurements. So again, we will have grab bars on the side and the back of the toilet. And the large grab bar here that's alongside the toilet can be no more than 12 inches from the back wall, and 42 inches minimum in length, and then 33 to 36 inches off the ground, off the finished face of the floor. Then we'll also have a vertical grab bar that's a minimum of 18 inches. And then from the center, again, 39 to 41 inches out from the wall. Okay? And then you always have a smaller grab bar to the back of the toilet as well. Minimum 24 inches wide, centered on the toilet, but 36-inch minimum on the transfer side, if possible. Then we can see some similar clearances to we see in kitchens in terms of coming up to the lavatory, up to the sink, and the requirements we have there. So again, that 34-inch maximum height, 27-inch minimum, so someone can come up underneath. And we also see here, there's a 40-inch max for the bottom of the mirror. Okay, if we go any higher than that, an individual in a seated position might not be able to see into the mirror. So the bottom of the mirror is at a 40-inch maximum height. And you can see in this drawing how challenging that could become when you're picking out and installing faucets with your sink, because that can get very close. So your faucet choice, sink mounting location become really critical. Again, looking at a few more standards, we're seeing the sink here at a 24-inch minimum on center from the wall. And then looking again at sort of a section cut through a sink, seeing here, we're looking at one of those panels. We often see this reference, one of these angled panels. And this is one common way of kind of finishing off the front of a sink nicely, so you don't see maybe the pipes and things underneath if that's not a look you want, but also protecting someone, if there's a lot of hot water running through there from like burning themselves or cutting their leg or something like that. So you want to place the lavatory bowl as far forward as possible and then cut out the pipe protection panel around the bowl if needed. Okay, and then here is a fully ADA compliant full bathroom that probably has all of the measurements and things you might need to know, or nearly so, in a really highly functional space. And I think probably, if you get your 60-inch minimum wheelchair turning radius in the center, you're going to be in pretty good shape, because then you'll see after this, you're getting your clearance on the side of your shower bathtub with the integrated built-in seat. And then we have all our proper distances with our toilet and our sink and everything in this image that we've already talked about. So you can see that, an ADA compliant restroom is certainly a bit larger than a, standard residential bathroom might be, but that would function very nicely for anyone using that space. So here's a couple more inspirational images and kind of looking into this idea of this large open bathroom with a built-in shower seat and what these spaces might actually look like rather than just being in a plan view. Looking here, the whole idea of a barrier-free bathroom situation can be really nice and super open. And here, we're seeing the whole shower that you could just walk or roll into with no barrier. It's slightly angled to keep the water this way, but it's all totally open into the space. So there's no hazard, no barrier here or here for the individual using it. And just making sure there's a slight pitch and drain so the water doesn't, get into the rest of the space. But then with everything being fully tiled, there wouldn't be any risk of water damage. And then here in this scenario, we're seeing the type of tub that you can walk into and shut the door and then fill. So it's a different tub scenario, but certainly a very functional one. And then over here, we're seeing the sinks at two different heights, more of a standard and then lowered for ADA.